Welcome to the Third Touch Soccer Podcast. My name's Sam Leamy. I'm here with Michael McLaughlin and Connor Walsh. On the road, Connor Walsh.
I am. I'm currently in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, just going at a nice 80-mile-an-hour clip. Nice and easy.
The greatest state to drive through, right? Pennsylvania?
It's god-awful. Although I'm dreading I-90 because I-90's piss poor.
All right, how was your weekend? Why were you down there? For the?
So I was down in Pittsburgh for a wedding. It was a massive piss-up of a weekend. All my college buddies got back together, so it was a lot of fun, but I'm feeling the after effects right now. And my car broke down when I was in Pittsburgh, and I thought it was going to be a huge deal. I ended up getting it fixed today, so we're good to go. But it was kind of a wild weekend.
All right, well, drive safe, buddy. But two big games in these last four days: Trinidad and Tobago versus Mexico in Denver, and the biggest game of the qualification away at Mexico last night. You were down there for the Mexico game. You were here for the first game, the Trinidad game, which they had to win, really. The 2-0 victory on Thursday. Any surprises with the lineup, guys? Was it job well done in that game?
In the Trini game?
In the Trinidad. Trini? Is that what you call it?
I think that's what I called it because a Trinidadian person said that to me. and I want to be cool. So, no, yeah, I thought the game was great. I thought Pulisic dominated the game. I thought Nagby was amazing. First half of that game was we didn't put away any chances, but the second half I thought we did a job well done.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought that it was the lineup that U.S. soccer fans have been asking for a couple years now, and it was exciting to finally see it materialize. But a finesse this easy pass, so nice. Okay. Yeah, no, it was sick though.
But do you want to? I mean, obviously the lineup was changed in the Mexico game, but when you say it's what USA fans want in a lineup, is that a lineup they want when they're expected to win the game, or just a lineup every game they go out in?
Well, I think as we saw what Bruce Arena did for the Sunday night game against Mexico, which we're going to do, it was a completely different lineup that I don't think any three of us, not to speak for you guys, but I don't think any American soccer fan was completely expecting that. But I think in a game that we're supposed to win and we're supposed to play well, that is the best possible lineup with the best possible players in the pool. And, it was just nice to see. And, Fabian Johnson's in his preferred position. Darlington Nagby's in the lineup. Villafana's starting. Yedlin's back consistently in the lineup. So I was very, very happy with
let's just go through that
game.
lineup. What the two center backs was Cameron Brooks. Left back was Villafana. Right back was Yedlin. And then what was it? It was Bradley.
Nagby.
And Nagby. And Nagby on the right. Fabian Johnson on the left, and then Pulisic up top with
Dempsey and Altidore.
With Dempsey and Altidore, that's right. Yeah. So, but I guess I got a question about that. Fabian Johnson, that was probably the worst game he's played for the U.S. I thought, and I don't know if he's still injured or something, but it didn't seem like he had a very good game against Trinidad.
Well, to be honest, he really hasn't performed well in his probably last 3 or 4 appearances, and was completely dropped the other night. So. On Sunday night, so yeah, he hasn't been playing well, and I don't know if Farino punished him or he just didn't fit into his plan for Sunday against Mexico. But
what's funny is like we were talking about what we want to talk about, because we want to talk about both games, but sometimes we like to break down one game, break down a whole another game. But when you look at both of these games, they're like perfect. They kind of go together with the lineups changes. Like, how did you feel when you first saw that lineup for the Mexico game?
I was very surprised. We tried to do an episode when I was down in Pittsburgh. It ended up not working, but we talked about the possibility of there being 5 in the back. Bruce Arena did that. The first Dos a Cero in Columbus in 2002, he had 5 in the back, and I was surprised to see it. I wasn't completely I wasn't shocked, but I was more shocked with the players he threw in that lineup. DeMarcus Beasley, frankly, had no business being anywhere near that pitch. That was very surprising.
Didn't I tell you on that non-released episode when I don't think America should be surprised if DeMarcus Beasley was going to play in that game, just because of his experience and how he's going to run all day. I think, Bedoya.
Yeah, but Fabian Johnson can run all day playing wing back. And wing back's a good position for Fabian Johnson, man. Like, he's played outside back, he's played winger. It's a combination of two positions.
I think he's something wrung with Fabian Johnson or something. But Villafana came out today; he was injured, so he wasn't even on the bench.
Okay.
So it kind of looked like Beasley was the only choice. If maybe Fabian, something's wrong with his conditioning, he's not up to par right now.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Bruce was leaning towards the experience. I'm sure Beasley's played his fair share of games in the Azteca over his 50-year career in the national team shirt.
Connor, I'm watching the game. I'm waiting. I'm at home going to watch the game at the bar with everybody, and I see the lineups. I'm like, what? I'm like losing my mind. Like, what is this? Like, no Dempsey, no Josie. I mean, it's 7 changes. But then a calm came over me where I realized I think I trust this guy, Bruce. I think he knows what he's doing. Like, I just trust. I knew the game we're probably not going to win. We're not going to put a bunch of goals away with that team. But I'm like, I believe that this guy knows what he's doing more than any other manager for a game by game situation. Yeah,
it was really good. I think that the result was fine. Job well done. 1-1 draw is really all you can ask for in a World Cup we've just about qualified for, and we're playing in the hardest game of the cycle. I think that there's really nothing wrong with that result. But the only thing I didn't what I was going to say was it was nice to see a manager try something new and then have the players execute, and he pulls off like a tactical, it was a tactical masterclass, honestly. Like, that was, Klinsmann experimented for years and never got it right, and Bruce absolutely nails it with a very unexpected lineup and players that, even if he went with that lineup, I wouldn't expect to be in there. Like Paul Arriola, been mostly playing wing back for Tijuana. He's among the goals in Tijuana, but he's not the type of player I would expect in that position. But it was all in hindsight, I'm very pleased. The only thing I don't understand, like I said, I can kind of see Beasley. I don't really agree with it, but why not Tim Howard? What's the reason behind that?
I found out the reason this morning, searching. He said he thought since he was going with a back 5, basically, he knew that Mexico was going to have the majority of the possession. Therefore, they were going to send a lot of long shots like they always do up into the stands. And he thought that Brad Guzan would be much better at taking all the goal kicks because they weren't going to play out of the back. And he's like, I'd rather have Guzan in there because he's better at taking goal kicks than Timmy. Timmy gets tired. I guess Tim Howard gets tired from goal kicks, or he's not as good as Guzan. Is that true?
I don't know. If you're a goalie that gets tired from goal kicks, it might be time to hang up the boots.
That's what I read. That's what I read.
Absolutely pathetic.
No, because Howard likes to throw.
What do you think he loses his head sometimes because he has that slight
Tourette's?
Tourette's, yeah. He kind of like, get the ball in play. We're winning 1-0, 89th minute. We got to kick it in.
He does. Tim. He's one of the best throwing goalkeepers I think out there. Like, he can. From a throw, he can go 30-40 yards on a right onto somebody's feet. A la Donovan, Algeria game, 2010 World Cup. Mm-hmm. But wait, one thing I did. This is funny, dude. When Sam and I met back in 2010, now 2009, when we became friends, we started talking all about soccer, blah blah blah. And then Sam goes, "Oh, Bruce Arena," and I'm like, "Oh, I was shocked that he even knew who he was." I was like, He's like, "Oh, he's just the greatest American coach ever. He's just a great coach. I love Bruce Arena." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm shocked that he had such a high opinion of an American coach. But do you still have that high opinion of him?
Yeah, why not? I think he got called in to do a job, and he's doing the job as we speak, and it's raising a few eyebrows along the way. I don't think USA, going back to the Trinidad and Tobago game on Thursday, I don't think USA played that well. I think a lot of the top players didn't have good games. You said Fabian Johnson didn't have a good game. It was good to see Yedlin back. I think Brooks, the 2 centre-backs, weren't the greatest. I think that's definitely the weakest spot. But we talk about that, and Mexico had 1 shot on target last night. 1 shot. Yeah. They did hit the post, but 1 shot. But Brooks coming off, a shitty performance against Costa Rica, that 4-0 defeat back in November. He looks like he's shoring up the defence. He looks like a really solid centre-back now. But, Dempsey didn't have a good game. It was pretty much obvious he wasn't going to start against Mexico. he trudged off against Trinidad and Tobago, and we talked about this, about the non-recorded episode, the published episode the other day, and is this the passing of the torch from, hey, I'm Clint Dempsey, a stubborn top American player, and I've just seen an 18-year-old guy nearly half my age just take the game by the scruff of the neck and score 2 goals and bail them out?
I mean, I don't know now. I don't know. I think you look at it and to go Dempsey, I thought he was going to play in this game, so I'm pretty shocked that he didn't play. I thought we took him out the 60th minute. I'm like, he
didn't even come off the bench.
No, but I know. I thought he was taking him out in the 60th minute to save him for the game at Azteca. I didn't think that Dempsey was done for this. I definitely thought he was going to play.
I'm not surprised at all he didn't start. I think once the game was going the way it was, and we really didn't need to get a second goal, like in all reality, I think that there wasn't really need from him, and I don't think the torch has been completely passed, and the Dempsey era has come to an end. He's still performing at a top level in the MLS, and I think his ego and his stubbornness will carry him for another year or two, just because he's going to keep fighting and he's going to keep being amongst the goals.
Yeah.
But shouldn't he be an example to these younger players? Him trudging off against Trinidad and Tobago, throwing a hissy fit. What is Christian Pulisic and DeAndre Yedlin and those types of players going to learn from a veteran player? We know international teams need a mix of youth and experience.
They're going to know that Deuce keeps it real.
we know that. This is one of the reasons why England fail at every major tournament, because they don't have that good blend of youth and experience. You go to any other national team, you go to Spain, when they were dominant in the World Cup and the Euros, they had the Xavis, and then Iniesta was coming up, and they had David Villa in there. Level-headed guys, top players mixed in with the youth coming up. USA need to kind of build that kind of relationship if they're gonna want to be the strongest team in CONCACAF.
I got a question. Is Dempsey, is he part of the Gold Cup roster, the preliminary roster?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
he is.
So I thought maybe he just wants to get this record out of the way, and he's in the Trinidad game. He's 1 goal behind Donovan. There's a good chance in that game, if those guys had played it upright, they could have won by 5 or 6 goals in that game if they went for it in the last 20 minutes.
Well, my question to answer that question is, do you really think Bruce Arena gives a shit about Clint Dempsey's goal scoring record?
No.
Exactly.
I don't think Clint Dempsey gives a shit about Clint Dempsey's scoring record. You think he really cares that much?
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Dude,
they'll always say they're not eyeing personal records, but you're telling me people like Clint Dempsey, people like Zlatan Ibrahimovic don't have, 1.5 eyes on a personal record.
I mean, maybe. I just don't think Deuce is so concerned on personal accolades. I've never, ever gotten that vibe from him, but there might be something to that.
Stubbornness does relate to personal accolades.
I was surprised.
Didn't he release on his own rap record?
Yeah, it's Deuce, whatever. He
Deuce,
raps.
Bro.
He raps in a trailer park while he kicks a soccer ball. It's Deuce. Yo, I love, I was shocked that he didn't release, like, an apology. Just like, I shouldn't have been like that to the coach, blah, 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 I haven't heard, have you heard any comments from him? I know I heard something from Bruce.
So if anyone who hasn't seen this, Clint Dempsey was substituted after the United States being 2-0 up against Trinidad and Tobago. He didn't have a good game. He trudges off, obviously disappointed with the way he played. Starts, doing a hissy fit on the sideline.
He barely handshakes Bruce Arena. Then he does begrudgingly, and then he's handshaking all the assistant coaches, jawing at Arena, and Arena's going, "What? What are you doing?" And then it's over, and he shook everyone else's hand, and then he turns back around and does that like barking, like his head nod like that, like he's about to set it off or some shit, and it just looked weird to me. For you know what I mean?
Deuce is a slum footballer, y'all. You gotta let Deuce be Deuce.
Great insight. What do you guys?
I think his international playing days are coming to an end. Personally, after that,
yeah,
I think that was a big moment. That's a bigger moment than you actually think.
No, I don't think so.
Nah, I think any 32-year-old's international career is coming to an end. It's not like Deuce is so unique where it's not the case.
He's older than that, dude. He's like 34.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So exactly, his career is coming to an end. That's not.
But with Deuce, he's never relied on athleticism.
But do you
it's
think?
Always craftiness and calmness in front of goal.
But do you think if he had a good game on Thursday, he would have? If he had a good game Thursday, he would have started that game yesterday.
Maybe, but I don't really care because we got the job done over the course of the 2 games. Like
But I feel like this. What about this? For the fans that don't even know, USA it was a 1-1 draw. We didn't even get into the Michael Bradley goal. We'll get into that. It was amazing. But what about this? That our team now is deeper than it's ever been. Probably more talented than it's ever been. So when we go to Mexico and pack it in, we actually can get real results now all the time, which then might allow us to actually push forward, and we could actually maybe get a win at Azteca at some point.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's not like we'll never win a game at the Azteca, but you're right. We have a deep enough squad where we can rotate it to suit different situations, which is obviously a good thing going forward.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that sat all had yellow cards, and so I think Arena was, if they gotten another one, then they would have been ineligible for Costa Rica at home, which is their next World Cup match, and that's when probably Arena is eyeing to get at least 1 point, probably 3 points for Costa Rica at home. So you want to have John Brooks, you want to have who's everybody on the yellow card? Almost all the guys on the yellow cards didn't play. Brooks is the only one that's coming to mind, but I know there's like 3 or 4 of them, and that was for some of the substitutes.
Yeah, I mean.
Thanks, guys.
No, that's
input,
but
no, that's the truth. I know Brooks had a yellow card. And
how many podcasts you listened to this morning?
I listened to quite a few. Listen, guys, I did a lot of research, not like you idiots.
But that Trinidad game, I mean, Kenwyn Jones had a few he had that one chance in the first half. They could have easily been 1-0 up. Obviously, United States not playing a great game, but still winning the game. Were you more impressed with the way they set out for Mexico, or the way they got their job done against Trinidad?
I think, Pulisic scoring the brace and scoring, especially the second goal, which was a very nice goal with that pretty ridiculous pass from Josie Altidore.
Yeah.
I think that was obviously more exciting, but I was probably more satisfied after the Mexico game just because, Bradley scored an absolute worldie and the team defended great. One shot on target the whole game. Unfortunately, it went in, but they didn't really put a foot wrong against Mexico, and it was nearly perfect. It was nearly perfect.
I would agree with you, and I got 2 points. One, Bradley, whatever that formation we went out with against Mexico with the wing backs, and pretending it's a 3-4-3, but it's really a 5. What? How does that work there?
5.
Yeah, exactly. But that lineup. That when you team up a midfielder with Bradley, like having Acosta with him, and with that having all those guys in the back, it really showed that Bradley that's his best. He can't play better. There's not a better formation for him, I feel like, to play at his best. He has help with he doesn't have to go box to box, so he can push forward every once in a while to win a tackle, then set forward and then set free Pulisic and an Areola and is it Areola?
Yeah.
Is that exactly? All right, sorry. And Bobby Woods. That was a great finish by Bradley.
Yeah, that was extremely hype. I gotta take a second to absolutely call out the Pittsburgh American Outlaws and their home bar Cladags. I'm gonna say it out loud. Absolutely disgraceful performance from the Pittsburgh American Outlaws in the bar last night. For any hockey fans or any sports fans, the Penguins won Game 6, which means they won the Stanley Cup last night. And Pittsburgh sports fans are an absolute cult, which is, it's cool. But there's a million bars in the south side of Pittsburgh that had the game on with sound, and there's one American Outlaws bar, and the game was on one TV with the Penguins sound on, and I was pretty furious, man. I talked to the bartender, and her response to me was, well, if you have a problem, you can tell the Penguins fans to leave. This is Pittsburgh.
Did you tell the Penguins fans to leave?
I talked to a couple that were, watching both the soccer game and the hockey game. They 100% understood. They understood my perspective, and I got in some Twitter beef with from the Third Touch account with the Pittsburgh American Outlaws and the American
Connor
Outlaws.
Pretty much runs all our social.
We're trying to grow here.
Yeah, beef is good, bro. We gained 3 followers this morning because of the beef.
Nice.
Bro, beef is when you need 2 gas to go to sleep, bro. I know all about beef.
So how pissed were you after the wedding when this was going down?
Pissed as in my inebriation or pissed as in anger?
Inebriation.
Or both?
Yeah, the vino.
Oh, it was an open bar, bro. It was an open bar. We were cracking bottles of Prosecco for mimosas at 11:30 in the morning. It was a marathon of a day. The wedding was great. The bar was kind of disappointing. And dude, even during the intermission to the hockey game, I'm listening to Luke Bryan be interviewed in Nashville, and USA Mexico's on. It's like I was so upset.
Yeah.
And part of that was just I work at an American Outlaws bar. I'm an American Outlaws member, and it's like I'm paying $25 a month or a year for this whole United. No, for like this whole
come all the way
United.
down to Pittsburgh.
No, honestly, bro. And 2 more other friends. One is from Virginia. One is from North Carolina. We're all up together to watch this game together. We never get to do this. And we're supposed to go to a place that is supposed to be a soccer bar, and it was really disappointing. And the response from the bar was disappointing. And I'm going to send an email to the manager of the bar because it was very upsetting.
You write that letter.
I will, bro.
So
I'm so white, bro. I'm so white.
16 minutes in, Michael Bradley gets the ball in midfield, has a couple of great touches.
I think just one touch, actually.
Was it one touch?
Just one touch, and then the second touch.
He's probably 35 yards out, I would say.
Yeah, 35, 40, for sure.
He sees the Mexican goalkeeper off his line, and he couldn't have chipped it any better. He couldn't have placed it any better. I mean, I saw the stats. The goalkeeper was 11 yards off his line. He was off his line, but still, he still had to judge that chip.
What's crazy about that chip was, as a fan, you're watching it, you're like, oh, Bradley stole the ball. Oh, he's up. Oh, what the fuck is he? Is he trying to chip the kid? We fucking went in! Like, it was like, it wasn't like a build-up. Like, even the announcer was like, It was so it was so like sly how he did it,
That was definitely I would say a legendary moment, not only in the U.S.-Mexico rivalry, but that's like that'll go down as one of the all-time great USA soccer goals, I think, or it's up there with some of the best. Like, that was a huge moment, and to take the lead that early on in the Azteca, I think that was
totally.
I think that was a very big goal, and it'll go down the U.S. soccer history books.
The only drawback to that goal is that it happened like in the 5th minute, I think. I mean, you put that goal in the second half, 70-some minute. I mean, it's it's an all-time great, legendary goal.
For sure. And then Bradley hit the post later on with an absolutely unbelievable strike.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike was up for it yesterday, man. The captain, El Capitan.
After slating him on.
Well, yeah, we slate him all the time, but you look at it now. Maybe he should, if we're gonna pack it in, he's got to be in the lineup. But maybe in the other one, even when we're going for it aggressively, maybe there's a better combo we can have. I don't know. Sam, what were you gonna?
Well, I was just gonna say seven changes from the lineup on Thursday. We already talked about the goalkeeping situation, but Gonzalez, Cameron, Ream, Yedlin. At the back, Acosta, Bradley, Beasley was at the back, Acosta, Bradley, Areola, Pulisic, and Bobby Wood. Why were you so surprised with the amount of changes? I was going to ask both of you, considering a lot of these players have played in the Azteca numerous times. Considering their altitude, I mean, a lot of listeners out there don't know the altitude. The altitude at Mexico City is 7,200 feet. They just had 2 games, a friendly against Venezuela at 4,500 feet, and the one in Denver at 5,200 feet. You can prepare for these games, but 7,200 feet is still a significant climb from those 2 places.
I think my bad. You go on, Connor.
I was just saying, then you, on top of the altitude, you add the severe air pollution and smog in Mexico City, and that's a whole other factor where it's harder to breathe. Mm-hmm. And now it's already hard enough to breathe, and then you're breathing unclean, dirty air.
Jesus.
All right.
What was really weird? 110,000 sellout crowd, but do you see the midfield when there was probably like 800-900 seats just free?
Yeah, that's all. There's and
what
then
is that?
And then like 15 military guys from Mexico show up and like take off 2 seats. They do that like straight guy sitting where like there's a seat.
Yo, the Mexican military had the best seats in the house. Yo, they were front and center chilling.
I don't know what's up with that, but I watched this morning. I rewatched the game on the Mexican feed, and they shoot it from the other side of the stadium, and it's a much better look. So
why do
TV.
we get the?
I don't know. I've never really seen that before. You can actually watch a game in high def from the other side of the field. And what's cool about that is you actually got to see some plays looked worse and some plays looked better. Because it's a total. It's so funny how the angle you're viewing it causes it's perspective, I guess, right? Well, one thing I wanted to say though was that the thing about Arena and all these changes he made, and now researching it this morning, he basically had a really good explanation for every single change, something logical behind it, where you couldn't really get mad at him. So that's why I think there's really no anger or hate from him, even if they were to lose 2-1. He had all this, these explanations. And the only one thing I think that he messed up on, in retrospect, is I think Josie would have done better up top than Wood, because Wood wasn't really stretching the defense. He wasn't really doing much. Josie hold-up play, passing off to Pulisic. I think you even saw Pulisic. He almost scored that goal at the end. That was off of Josie hold-up play off to him.
Yeah, I think if we're going to pack it in like that and we're not going to stretch the defense, as you said, then it has to be Josie Altidore starting over Bobby Wood, just because he provides that physical presence to hold the ball up. And I think Josie and Pulisic's link-up play is, very, very good, and it's been very good throughout Pulisic's somewhat short time in the national team. So,
yeah.
But Mike, I agree with you, man. I was, in hindsight, I was very pleased with the lineup. I still don't understand the Guzan thing. And I don't really understand the DeMarcus Beasley thing overall. But, to Barina's credit, it worked out in the end. And
if Viafani is injured, who else are you going to put? Maybe Fabian Johnson wasn't fit.
Graham Zusi.
So I'm watching the Mexican broadcast this morning. When Zusi comes out at the 92nd minute, the announcers are going crazy, like, Zusi! And they're laughing at. They know it's funny to like him, but they think it's awesome. American greatest, Graham Zusi.
But yeah, watching the game, I think the United States had the better opportunities. Like I said, Mexico only had one shot on target. That Carlos Vela goal, the ex-Arsenal legend, took his goal very well, I thought, cutting in from the right-hand side on his left foot. Didn't know he was still around. But I think one of the most overrated players is Chicharito. I think he didn't have a good season this season. He's done a couple of magical moments for the national team 5-6 years ago when he was younger, but I think he's very overrated at this point. I don't know if Mexico still have one eye on this Confederations Cup next week, because straight after this game they're right on the plane to Russia.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. But was it just a well-controlled game from the United States, and they had the better chances? But I think Mexico underperformed.
I don't know if I want to go that far. I mean, obviously Mexico has to be the favorite, but I think some credit has to be given to the U.S. But another thing about Mexico's lineup was there was no Tecatito.
Yeah.
He's going to be out for this game and then all the Confederations Cup, and he's a bright spot in Mexico's, one of their bright young players coming up, plays for Porto. And apparently he's having some personal family issues or personal issues, and he left the Mexican camp and flew right back to Portugal. So don't know what's going on there, but that's definitely a loss for Mexico, not only in this game, but in the Confederations Cup, you'd have to say.
And I would say this, I thought the U.S., the back five, the how we were marking up, I thought it just got frustrating in Mexico. They really never had any real good chance in the box. They had one nice little through ball to the right side in the box, and the guy didn't shoot it. I actually forget who it was. That he crossed it, and we knocked it out for a corner. But I don't think it. I think that the U.S. was one of the most organized defenses we've seen in 3 or 4 years from the U.S.
I would agree. I have a question for you guys. Over the course of these last two games, who was the most impressive player, do you think?
Well, I mean,
even if you want to throw the Venezuela game in there too, why not throw all three? Who's been the most consistent player, best player across those 3 games?
It's probably Jeff Cameron.
That's a good shout. I don't have a problem with that.
I'd probably Cameron. I mean, he really did. He was great last night. He was good, I thought, in the Trinidad game. I don't really recall what he did in the Venezuela game, but I mean, Cameron was really. I mean, the easy one is just Pulisic, but I thought Pulisic last night had his worst game in the U.S. so far. But it was really not his fault when you got 3-4 guys.
Yeah, it was only 4 guys. Yeah. Well, it was only but there was only 4 guys that played both games, pretty much 90 minutes if you include Pulisic coming off in the 90th minute. But I thought Yedlin was solid.
Oh, Yedlin was very good.
Playing for Newcastle in the championship all year. He did have a few injuries this year as well.
Yeah.
But coming back into the national team looking solid. Newcastle getting promoted. He's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on, and he's going to be exciting in the Premier League. So we'll see.
Connor, who'd you think had the best game? Had the best entire or this whole little block of games?
I would probably, honestly, not to bite off you guys, but I would probably say Yedlin, and you could throw Jeff Cameron in there for sure.
Yeah.
I thought Yedlin, really didn't put a foot wrong, and he's come a long way. And I think it was funny. I was listening to the Men in Blazers podcast on my drive out Thursday. Obviously, the Trinidad Tobago game was Thursday night, and Yedlin was a guest on it, and they were interviewing him, and he said how much easier it is playing under Rafa Benitez and how much more simplified the game has been. And Rafa has taken like personal time out of his day and training sessions to just work one-on-one with Yedlin, and I think he's come a long way defensively, and he's always at the pace going forward. Final ball hasn't always been there, but you're starting to see Yedlin become a more complete player, and which is great for not only Newcastle but the United States.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a rock back there. I actually never really felt insecure or anything. Every time it went to that side, I don't even think in either of these games anybody really challenged him. Because I don't think they really
there was one little moment yesterday where he got beat and it led to a cross, which nothing came of it, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was the only time I just mentally registered. I was like, oh, you got to do better there. But that's going to happen to any defender, whether if you're the best defender of the world or some scrub that plays my Division III outside back self. It happens to anyone. So I was very pleased with Yedlin, and I think his progression has been pretty clear.
And he had that nice assist to Pulisic in the Trinidad game. That nice pass.
Yeah, it was good to see him contribute offensively, for sure.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right, USA. All right.
USA. Okay, so I gotta give a lot of credit to the manager as well and the coaching staff to really, fire the players up for these two games. Coming off, a lot of players coming off at the end of the season in Germany, England, and to get these guys going again for two vital qualifiers in the space of 4 or 5 days at high altitude is something you got to be impressed with. But yeah, next round of CONCACAF fixtures, USA at home to Costa Rica, I think, September 1st, and away to Honduras or Panama a few days later. Let me just check that up.
It's so far. These games are so far away that it's a whole different. By the time they come around, it's like a whole different thing.
Honduras away.
Yeah.
Each set of games just has like a life of their own because you have your little mini camp and you have the two games and they're so isolated that you really have to approach them as there's no momentum really. You kind of have to approach them freshly each time. And
this is one of the few ones where we're almost pretty much injury free. Like we had almost every player. Unless there's something wrong with Fabian Johnson, pretty much every.
Well, you
player
go back to the
available.
last two games, and Sebastian Lletget was probably the most exciting player being called up, and he scores that first goal against Honduras, and what a great call! And now he's injured, and now he's out for a few months,
and he probably won't come back until we're already qualified for the World Cup.
I think Lletget would have been very good in that Paul Areola role last night. I think he would have brought not to take anything away from Areola, but I think Lletget is a better player and would have taken that position just one level up.
Is he Lletget? Hey.
Yo, I don't know who his girl is, but Sebastian Lletget's girlfriend has like 5 million followers on Instagram, and she's bad, yo. So I don't know what's going on there, but he's chilling. He's living that LA lifestyle, man. He's doing it.
So as fans, what do you guys take from these two games out of a 10, should we say?
8.
Yeah.
I really couldn't be more pleased. The only thing that would have been if they were to win the Mexico game with that rare new approach that Arena brought, we would have given it a 9 or 10, honestly. And the only thing you can really take away is the first half performance against Trinidad, where, like you said, Cameron Jones could have scored. We could have been one down. But at the end of the day, it was, both games, the job was done the way it needed to be done, and with two completely different teams and two different approaches. So it's good that they're able to adapt to different situations. I was very pleased.
Yeah, I said the same thing. Like 8 out of 10, it was great. I just want to play. I like it when we have those chances, and it was cool to see so many chances against Mexico at the Azteca. I don't think we've ever had that many shots
You think Bobby Wood should have scored that one chance in the first half?
Oh, when he whiffed it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. It's like that's the thing Dempsey brings, dude. Is that sort of he's always calm in front of goal, even in a big moment. And I don't know if Wood is like if you got all. It's tough to be relaxed and calm when you know you're only going to have probably one chance all game to get something like that. I think you probably should have put that away.
I agree. And who was that big like towering header that probably should have been a goal too?
Gonzalez.
Omar Gonzalez.
Yes,
yeah.
Omar.
He had two chances.
He had two headers, yeah.
And he had that free header, and he just jumped too early. He just didn't time his run and jump well. But yeah, he was kind of open, and Pulisic that one where it kind of fell to him. Would have been a scrappy goal like the one they scored a couple of years ago, their first victory.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, the games at Azteca are generally pretty scrappy, and balls are flying and holding in the air.
But this is cool because it's like you don't get that many World Cup qualifiers in that hex. That only happens once every 4 years at Azteca. It was cool to see how insane the fans were, how into it they were. And that was cool when Bradley quieted the crowd with that goal because it was such a fantastic goal. You had to give it, Even on the...
I loved...
Yeah, go on.
Go on. I was going to say I loved Bradley's celebration, like running over to the crowd and like kissing the badge. Like that was just like, it was great. He's the captain, bro. It's good like to see him do that. And I think that fired the team up for sure.
Dude, when I watched the replay on the Mexican broadcast, even they were like talking about something else. You could tell like they were just like bullshit talking. And then he's like, oh, Bradley, goal. And then the guy's like, he's like, what the heck? He like had to just like, whoa, golazo. Like after like, it took like 7-8 seconds for him to realize how awesome the goal was. He was like, what happened? It was like, if I was a Mexican fan, you're like just getting your beer, you're probably talking to your friend, blah, blah, like, what the this ball floats out of nowhere. Just like, it was shocking to like everybody, I felt like.
So how do you feel about the Mexico equalizer, Connor, being an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't say a beloved son, but someone who was in and out of that Arsenal team on loan numerous times to Celta, West Brom, I think.
Sociedad.
He's at Real Sociedad now. He's got a great games to goal ratio in La Liga.
Well, I know.
And he's not the oldest. He's 28, 27, 28. It feels like he's been around for decades.
Yeah, and I mean, I literally yelled at the TV at one point in my inebriation, and I was thinking about how he almost got relegated a few years ago, and David Moyes sucks. But dude, 3-4 years ago, a good base of Arsenal fans were calling for him to be called back in the team because he was absolutely tearing it up for Sociedad, and he really still is. Like he's still a good striker in La Liga. I would have wished that he wasn't the one that scored, but. How much fault do you think Beasley had in that goal? Because
not that much.
Because he brought obviously your first as an outside back, your first job was to keep the player outside. But once the player cuts in, you have to adjust and push him towards other players. And there was 4 other U.S. players standing there.
There should have been someone else helping him out there.
And also to rewind like 30 seconds, Kellen Acosta had to win that ball in the midfield when he's one-on-one with maybe it was Herrera, I don't even remember, but. He got done in pretty good and played the ball out wide to Carlito. And, I don't know. At first I was pissed at Beasley, but after, thinking about it more and seeing the replay a few times,
also, too,
the other players should have stepped in.
Also, too, all of our center backs, Gonzalez, Ream, and Cameron were all up for the corner, right beforehand. So none of them were back by the time Beasley was being taken on. Literally, as the shot's about to happen, you see Cameron finally get back. And Cameron really should have just closed him out right then. He could have, too, if you on the replay. And Guzan got beat on the near post, which I was watching with Chris Custer, goalkeeping coach, and he was, losing his mind about that.
Yo, how was the bar last night? Was it sick? Were you guys both there?
Yeah, it was surprisingly busy.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's good atmosphere. No Penguins game on the TV until... the final whistle was had in Azteca.
The whole time I was telling my boys, from college, though, I was like, yo, I would have done anything. Just because I was disappointed American Outlaws bar was in Pittsburgh, I was like, this would never happen, I don't know, at the bar. But I'm glad it was a good night.
Well, you're in Pittsburgh, and the Stanley Cup means a lot to those Pittsburgh fans. Like you said before, there's nothing else to do there apart from hockey and local sports. But, wrapping up these games... USA coming away with 4 points out of possible 6, leaves them third place in the Hex. They've played one game more than Panama, but 8 points, but looking good in terms of qualification.
Yep.
And got the hardest game out of the way.
Yeah, looks like fun. The Gold Cup should be fun. The roster's going to be
But,
a lot of young guys and stuff.
Big shout out to Sol Campbell as well, assistant coach at Trinidad and Tobago. Didn't realize that until the game happened, but they look like they're harder to beat, and they could take some points off, the mid-level teams in that qualifying, the rest of the qualifying games.
Well, Sam, wasn't there another World Cup tournament going on?
There was. For the first time in 51 years, England did win the World Cup. Yes, it's not an error here. England did win the World Cup. The Under-20 World Cup, which we covered a lot until the USA got knocked out. I did say, do you guys care about the Under-20 after the United States got knocked out? But England did beat Venezuela in the final after overcoming Italy in the semi-final. The Everton product, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with the only goal. But, a great achievement by the boys from England. I'm sure they'll get used to losing very soon. But the first time in 51 years, England lifted the World Cup.
Congratulations.
Do you care?
I watched the highlights of the game, and I also placed a bet on Venezuela to win the game. I don't bet that much, but I really was taking with that team. Mm-hmm. And but England. It seems like an even match game. Did you watch the entirety of the game?
I watched probably the last 5 minutes of the first half. So I missed the goal, and then most of the second half, which Venezuela, I'm not going to say dominated, but they did get a penalty. Herrera, the guy from Man City on loan to New York City FC, was brought fouled, took the penalty, but the goalkeeper saved it. But all in all, Solanke, the new signing for Liverpool from Chelsea, was the best player in the tournament. He did win the golden, not the golden ball, the golden ball, the golden boots, the top goal scorer. But Freddie Woodman, the Newcastle goalkeeper, had an outstanding tournament. And all in all, even Lookman as well, he had a great tournament. I think 4 goals for him. But yeah, all round, gotta give credit to the young lads from England.
And one thing I noticed about the whole U20 World Cup was the play. I feel the play was at such a high level. Mm-hmm. I can't tell like you guys, but I don't really see a difference between that play and some of the international play at the top of the full the guys of the men that are playing.
There's a lot more running, and because they're younger and they just have a lot more energy.
I mean, that's what it's very entertaining.
They're not smart enough to conserve their energy, but the actual play, isn't that much different.
I would say the play was very good, but the officiating and the goalkeeping left a lot to be desired overall, I have to say. There was some pretty shocking moments over the course of the World Cup from both goalkeepers and officials. I know that, Jonathan Klinsmann spilt one in the first game. I'll always remember that moment, Jonathan. Just like your dad provided so many memorable moments for us, you piece of crap. But
represent all the third touch.
We did get a review this past week, and they singled out Connor to be the best one of the 3.
Oh, who said this? Is this really a review?
I'll show you after.
Oh well, I'll second that as
well. Yo, shout out to my guy, bro. Shout out to my guy. He active on iTunes, bro. I mess with you, bro. Real recognize real. Nah, we're a talented bunch.
But yeah, even with them trying the video referee, they got decisions wrong. There was a lot of questionable red cards. There was a lot of questionable penalties that were given, even reverting to the new system. So they need to clean that side up, I would think. But I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on these young kids. They're at the top stage. I'm not saying they're playing in front of 50, 60,000 people, but at the end of the day, it's the World Cup, and they're trying to break through into first team in the Premier League. A lot of these guys that play for England are in and out of their clubs. Yeah. I know Calvert-Lewin has scored for Everton. He's played a few games. So I mean, Solanke looks like the real deal, but it's hard to tell at such a young age because the majority of the young guys are already playing week in, week out, and even at the under 21 level.
And some of the teams don't even release. Like the U.S. didn't have 3 or 4 of their best U20 players to be released. Just saying.
So they would have won.
Yeah, we put Pulisic and all the guys from Shock on that team U.S. and we walk away with that World Cup.
Yeah, but the senior team need Pulisic.
Yeah, I know.
The under 20.
So one of my buddies I got to see this weekend, which was somewhat unexpected. He was a senior my freshman year, played in the soccer team and whatnot, but he was from Venezuela, right from Caracas, and got to talk to him a good bit about the World Cup, and he was every televised Venezuela game he's been up for it watching, and with the political unrest and the situation in Venezuela right now, I know that tournament meant a lot to him, and he was I saw him Sunday. He was at the wedding. He was definitely very disappointed about the result, but said that he was pleased with how Venezuela performed and being a somewhat unexpected underdog and becoming arguably the favorite to win it by the quarterfinals, you'd have to say. Or that, it was especially once France went out. I think at least us three, I know. Yeah. My intention was directed towards Venezuela. So he was disappointed, but it was cool to get that perspective because, obviously getting Sam's English perspective. But, Sam, realistically, how excited are you about this win?
I'm pretty excited. They went under the radar. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know they qualified for the tournament. But they came third place in the under 17 Euros a couple of years ago. So it's the same group of players that went to this World Cup, but it's an extended tournament, and I think they went under the radar. They had that. I got excited as soon as they beat Argentina 3-0 and totally dominated the game. I was like, holy shit, this is an Argentina team where Messi has been in this tournament and won the World Cup.
Maradona was in that tournament.
Yeah, Aguero's
he won the Golden Boot.
Yeah, Figo, top players have played in this tournament and won it, and it's meant a lot to these countries. And seeing the fans come out for the Korea games, and when England tied their next game against Guinea, I think it was, in the second game, but beating the host South Korea, that was I would say the turning point. The confidence was high. And then, Costa Rica, you beat Costa Rica, then you beat Mexico, who are always good at these tournaments, and then absolutely outpowering an Italian team in the semi-final who had already knocked out France. Then you go into that final, okay, yes, people are getting excited about Venezuela and how they've changed, because they're not the strongest national team in South America. They don't do well in Copa America. They don't do well in World Cup qualifying, and they haven't in history, but I've heard some things that they've changed the whole structure around, and they're starting to develop young, exciting, technical players. And for England to go over there across the world, a young group of lads, Paul Simpson, huge shout out to the coach. They deserve all the credit that's coming their way.
And hopefully also England won the Toulon tournament this weekend as well, which is one of the biggest under 17 tournaments. So shout out to that. But
I guess what happened this past weekend. Couldn't even beat Scotland national team. Great.
That was great last
Dude, that was a wild game, bro. Shout out to Lee Griffiths.
Yeah.
That was crazy, dude. Bang 2 free kicks.
Well, going on to the national team, it's hard to support them when Gareth Southgate's manager. There are plenty coaches way more qualified than him. His lineup, Livermore and Dyer in this. Come on. You don't even call Danny Welbeck up, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but had 3 or 4 of his best games he's ever had for Arsenal towards the end of last season. The FA Cup final, he was a beast. And you don't call him up? And you put Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench? As soon as he come on, he's flying past defenders.
Actually, Chamberlain was maybe Arsenal's best player the last 10 games, other than, Sanchez or whatever, but he's been great for both club and country. Sam, I want to get your opinion on this because I heard this weekend. So how there's been the talks about Oxlade-Chamberlain being a center mid. I know at one point he said he wants to be the next Steven Gerrard, and he's been switch to that 3-4-3. After the FA Cup, he walked up to the TV desk, did an interview with Rio Ferdinand, Gerrard, and they asked him what position he want to play, and he looked right at Gerrard and said, I want to be a center mid, I want to be like Gerrard. Do you think that that's a legitimate thing that could happen, or is he more of an out-and-out winger, do you think?
I mean, he looks like more of an out-and-out winger. I think he has to leave Arsenal to get more minutes. He's not starting every game. And what is he, 22, 23 now? He's not super young.
Right, so
he's still young.
Pretty young.
Still young, but he needs to be playing week in, week out. And do you think he's going to play for Arsenal week in, week out? No.
Sam, can I ask you a
I
question?
mean, he's very injury-prone, but does he have that structure about him like Steven Gerrard? No, I don't think he can strike balls from 30 yards and whack him in top corner. No, I don't think that. He's more productive when he's on the wing. I mean, his goal against Scotland was pretty much exactly the same as Carlos Vea's against the United States yesterday, even though the Scottish goalkeeper was probably drunk and it went straight at him. He just palmed it into the back of the net. But Griffiths' 2 free kicks were unbelievable, and Harry Kane just bailing England out. I mean, they're going to qualify for the World Cup. They're very clear at the top, but
could this be another like golden generation coming up?
No,
Rashford, Dele Alli,
and
even Oxford Chamberlain. He's a little older.
Rashford was playing on the right. He hasn't played on the right all season.
All these
for Man
U20
United.
kids coming up. This could be like the next.
We don't have the coaches. We don't have the guidance that other countries have. The Germanys, the Spains, the Portugals, the Argentinas. We don't have. We can't. We have the pieces, but we don't have that person to, build the puzzle. We just don't. We just don't have it. Gareth Southgate, one of the most unexperienced coaches, got a team relegated from the Premier League. Walks into the England national team as a coach.
Well, he was interim coach, wasn't he? And then they kept him on as.
He was the coach of the under-21s,
Yeah.
and they made him the interim coach, and now he's somehow the. I almost think England
He got
would
a
be
2-0
better
win
off.
against Malta, and they gave him the full-time position. Come on.
Yeah. I think England's almost better off with a foreign manager, honestly, with just a different perspective, because, as you said, the English, the structure just isn't there top to bottom like you have it with other countries. But I hope for your sake that this group under 20s can, England's always performed well at the youth levels, but hopefully this group under 20s aren't just a flash in the pan. I remember I saw like the 19. Well, the team that won the under 17 or under 20 Euros back in the early 90s, Nicky Butt was the only first team
there was
top level player.
Well, yeah, there was guys that I saw that as well, like Nick Barmby, David Unsworth. Yeah, it wasn't. But you could argue that. I mean, we've just said that Aguero and Messi were in the Argentina team that won an under 20 World Cup. There's also the under 21 European Championships coming up soon, and that's. There's a lot of Premier League starters that are playing in that tournament, so we'll see how that goes. That's a very limited tournament. That's only 12 teams.
You get way more perspective from the U20 than you would like U17. Because even a guy like Sargent, who I'm all excited about, but you guys really are like, well, he's just really developed for his age, and I don't see him doing much. You guys don't like him for some reason. I don't know.
No, I love him. I just want to be cautious.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he dominates at the U17 level because he's a great finisher, but he looks more developed, like, as a human than the rest of the guys at that age. So U20 is closer to, I feel like, reality. So if you look back at all the U20 highlights, which we were doing the other day, it's Aguero, it's Messi, it's all every USA player now that's still playing, it's like Bradley, Altidore, they're all on it's a lot of professionals that are on those teams.
It does mean something, and it is relevant. And I think it was no fluke England won it. I really don't think it was a fluke. They didn't get lucky in any game, really. I'm not saying they dominated every game, but to get that far in a knockout tournament, I think it shows a lot of character, and it's something to get excited about. Not get your pants off and start jerking off, but I think we have to show a lot of respect to these young kids, and hopefully they'll be guided in the right way. What's unfortunate for a lot of these players, a lot of them players for top clubs, like Solanke's just signed for Liverpool. He was at Chelsea. He's not getting a minute. You go, if he's playing at West Brom, a Sunderland, or a Bournemouth, he's playing every game, he's playing every week. Now these young guys from England are going on loan to Holland, Belgium, second division in France and Spain. It must be so frustrating for them, because every year they have to go to a new club. And how do you develop as a player then?
I don't understand, and I don't think it should be advised from the youth coaches. No England youth player should be signing for Chelsea. They have way too many players on their books.
They have to, though, because you have to fulfill that whole homegrown players, which is kind of backfired in a way. because they wanted to. It was, I think, the 2010 World Cup when we were shocking against Germany, and then the Premier League implemented a rule where every Premier League team has to have a certain amount of homegrown players, but yet you farm these players, you have no intention of playing them, but you have to have them in the team to fulfill these rules, so they need to change it again. They have
Sam,
to play like a certain amount of games. But then
Sam, do you think that... sorry to keep it up.
No, it's all
do you
right.
think England should do what they do in, say, Spain with like B teams? Like Barcelona B will go and win the second division, playing in front of probably 15,000 people a game. That is probably better for a player's development. You know, you're competing against other professionals, but you're younger, and you think that they should look into throwing B teams in the lower division, or is that not something that would work in England, do you think?
Where do you throw them? You throw them straight into the championship? I mean, how long have Real Madrid, Barcelona had a B team? Decades, right? It's not like something. So you'd have to think that's not a terrible idea. But it'll be hard because I believe there's way more professional clubs in England than any other country in the world. So you're kind of stamping on uncharted territories there when you do that. But I'm sure there could be a better structure than there is right now. But that's not a bad thought. I like that. Well done.
Thanks, bud.
How's the drive?
Bro, I'm going through this crazy high wind advisory area by Lake Erie, and it is a lituation, bro. It is crazy out here. There's trees bending over. I'm just doing my thing, bro. I'm plugging along, going through the Easy Pass right now. Start the podcast at Easy Pass, end it at Easy Pass, yo. Easy Pass is for the culture.
Hey, Connor, before we get going, who was the one player that impressed you the most of the U20 World Cup, of all the games you saw?
To be 100% fair, I only, for the most part, watched the United States. I watched the France highlights because I was excited with that team. I watched the England highlights, but I'm really, really big on the Tyler Adams train right now, man.
Okay.
I know he probably wasn't the best. He wasn't the best player in the tournament, but I just like that he's performing in New York right now, even though I'm not a Rebels fan. And I thought he was great, and his leadership at the under-20s was great.
Yeah, I thought he was great too, and I liked Carter Vickers a lot.
Quick update actually on the under-20 roster. Eric Palmer Brown is being potentially offered a contract by PSG.
Okay. Oh wow, really?
So this will now be the second major European club he's played for. He was at Porto for a while, and was a little bit younger, 17, 18, and now potentially PSG, which would be that's exciting to me. I don't know.
How about you, Mike? It was.
Well, I'll tell you why. Hey, Sam, what's your favorite movie? So I can just say my favorite movie. No, I really like the kid from Venezuela, Cordova. Did you see that kid play at all? Sergio Cordova, he was a striker. I think he was second in goals, and he just dominated that USA game. I thought he was awesome. So, and then I did a little. Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, is he the dude with the blonde hair?
Yeah, dark skin.
So
no, not blonde hair.
plays-
No, that's Herrera. Yeah. No,
Who is one of the strikers plays for Malaga and is the youngest player in La Liga history to score 2 goals. My Venezuela friend was telling me. Is that him?
No, Cordova plays he's still in the Venezuela, and he's 19 years old. He still plays for Venezuela. Caracas is the team he plays for.
Okay.
So,
all right.
but that's the cool thing about the U20 World Cup. A guy like him, who I don't know anything about, in 2 to 3 years, he could be on a big side and be a world star. And he goes from, you saw him on those early, you see him, at this stage.
It's kind of fun because you get a first look glance, and then if you remember that player, you can be like, oh, I watched him when he was however many years old, and you can, kind of follow their development because you get to see him at a major tournament. So it's definitely a cool part of these big youth tournaments.
And Eric Palmer Brown played awesome. So you look at it, if he gets going to sign with a big team, you see that the U20 World Cup helped him do so.
For sure.
What I don't like, it's not like I don't like it, but we were excited about this tournament before it even kicked off, and as the tournament gained momentum, I was telling people at the bar that, a World Cup's happening, under 20, and these aren't like babies, these are growing adults, these are guys who are playing in the Premier League, playing for your club, and then they were just kind of dismissed it after the first couple of games. Then England started doing well, and then they got all excited.
Yeah.
And I got numerous text messages, I got tweets, I got Facebook messages, and it's like, well, you should have been excited about the first game when they won 3-0 against Argentina, because that was an absolute masterclass against one of the previous winners.
I think that in general, the general American soccer audience, this is, it's like a step above. You have to be a little bit more invested, I think. But
yeah.
I think if people give it a chance and realize that these games are televised on, you can watch the U.S. national team on FS1. You can also watch the Under-20s in the World Cup on FS1.
Dude, my bad. Go on, Connor.
No, and people need to tune in and watch these guys, because look at the U.S. roster. Every player except for 2 is a professional player. The other 2 are in college, and these guys are playing for big clubs, whether it's around Europe or in the United States, and these aren't just random kids. These are guys that are going to be potentially fixtures in the future. And
this is the tournament that made me a real USA fan, because back in 98, I only think we sucked. 2002, I saw the highlights. I didn't get up for one. I was too young to get up for those games. I wasn't into it. It was in the middle of the night. I heard about it. But 2006 World Cup, I got into the USA a little bit. But it was the 2007 U20 in Canada. It was on ESPN, and it was so you could easily watch it. And I watched Altidore, Freddie Adu, Maurice Adu. I think Bradley was on that team.
Charlie Davis, was he?
Yeah, no, Charlie Davis wasn't on that team. No, but all those guys, and that was the one where Freddie Adu just went off and just crushed. And I think we beat Portugal, we beat Poland, we might have beat Brazil. And it was one of the we played so well that it made me a fan to watch those guys rise up.
You're a good fan.
Thanks, buddy. Well, I'm saying that you can create more fans sometimes with these youth games than you can even from.
And the games are so exciting. They're so high pace and a lot of goals, and and you did touch base on the mistakes of the goalkeepers, but sometimes that kind of makes the game more exciting, because Americans love high scoring.
It opens the game up for sure.
Yeah.
It opens the game up for sure. But I think in general, people are going to start, especially in America, people will start investing more time in these tournaments, and it's definitely a good thing. It's fun watching stuff that the majority of other people aren't watching, and to feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah, U17 World Cup coming up.
To, I guess.
Nice. I think when U17 is like September. I think India. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Another great.
It's in India. Unfortunately, the United States won't be playing. But
no, they're in it. They're in the U17.
They are?
Yeah, they qualified.
Bro, I'm pretty sure they're not.
No, Sargent. We top qualified in CONCACAF U17. Sargent had like 8 goals, then a ridiculous amount of goals. What
was that game we lost? What was the game we lost against Mexico with the missed penalty kick? Was that just the CONCACAF championship? That was separate.
That was the championship of it, but we still qualified top of the group, I believe. We're definitely going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's my mistake.
And by we, I mean young 15, 16-year-old boys.
We'll be there.
We're there. We're there, dude.
All right.
Can't wait to eat smog in Jakarta.
All right. We appreciate everyone tuning in again, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the last 2 World Cup qualifying games for the United States. Like I said, the next 2 qualifiers back in September, at home to Costa Rica and away to Honduras. But yes, the Gold Cup is starting in July. MLS is back in action. I know we normally do an MLS section, but there was only 3 games this past weekend. I know Chicago Fire won the weekend. Nikolic scoring another goal, but we'll do a full MLS roundup.
Big week in the Open Cup. These games are all streamed on YouTube. There's some really interesting, intriguing matchups. Probably the highlight is the New York City FC Red Bulls derby. DC United is playing the liquor store team. Little Maryland DMV derby, worth tuning into. So keep Tuesday night and Wednesday night. All those games are. So if you guys have nothing else to do, hop on YouTube.
Sick, dude.
Awesome.
Just trying to promote American soccer, bro.
All right. Unlike the bars in Pittsburgh, but thanks for joining us, Connor. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Safe drive home. I'll see you around 9 o'clock. In a bit.
See you.
You're never gonna get my love.